Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Pepper Revenge. This channel is all about crazy true stories, stuff that happens in real life when things get a little bit messy.
I just turned 42 and I'm in a better place mentally than I've been in years. But I need to share what happened on my 41st birthday because looking back, it still seems surreal. Last year, I picked up a double shift at the industrial facility where I work as an electrical maintenance technician. Nothing glamorous, just checking distribution panels and running diagnostic tests on backup power systems. 12 straight hours on my feet, steel-toed boots feeling like they weighed 30 pounds by the time I clocked out. Around 3 in the afternoon, I sent a text to my wife, Vanessa, letting her know I'd be home by 7. She responded, "Don't be late tonight, got something planned." I assumed maybe she'd ordered takeout from that Thai place on Forsyth I liked, or possibly grabbed a store-bought cake. Nothing elaborate. We'd been married 5 years, and birthdays had become pretty low-key affairs, usually just the two of us. I arrived at our building around 7:15, parked in my regular spot on the 3rd level, close to the stairwell entrance. Our condo sits on the 4th floor, Unit 416. Before I could even get my keys out of my pocket, I heard voices coming through the door. Multiple voices overlapping, music thumping, something with pronounced bass lines. Laughter that sounded staged, like people laughing because they felt obligated to. I unlocked the door and walked in. Then I froze. 9 women occupied every seat around our dining table. Wine glasses covered every available surface. Some drained, some partially full, several showing lipstick residue on the rims. The table itself was buried under expensive charcuterie arrangements. The premium kind featuring prosciutto, aged manchego, and those miniature cornichons Vanessa always purchased from Whole Foods. 4 empty Prosecco bottles stood in a row along the kitchen counter. 2 additional bottles sat open on the table with their labels deliberately facing outward. I knew that brand. $28 per bottle. I'd noticed those recurring charges when paying our credit card statement. Vanessa occupied a position near the table's head, positioned like someone about to deliver a corporate presentation. She wore a brand new athletic ensemble I'd never seen before. Complete matching set. Lululemon, judging by the prominent logo. In pale purple and exceptionally form-fitting. I distinctly recalled seeing that charge the previous week when handling the bills. $185 for yoga leggings and a coordinating sports bra. She displayed that particular smile she reserved for Instagram photography sessions. Broad but hollow, never quite reaching her eyes. Rehearsed, calculated, performed for an audience. All 9 women rotated their heads toward me simultaneously, almost choreographed. They wore identical expressions, knowing and expectant, like they possessed information I lacked, like they'd been anticipating my arrival so the actual performance could commence. I recognized most faces from Vanessa's social media presence. She referenced them as her empowerment circle and posted about their gatherings constantly. Alexis Thornton occupied the head position, where I normally sat during meals. She owned an upscale wellness studio in the Central West End and clearly functioned as this group's leader. Beside her sat Bethany Morrison, recently divorced approximately 7 months prior. I'd overheard Vanessa on multiple phone conversations with her, discussing Bethany's allegedly controlling ex-husband and praising her courage for leaving. Then there was Rachel Park, noticeably quieter than the others, observing everything with analytical eyes. Jennifer Santiago positioned herself next to Alexis, leaning in conspiratorially like they were plotting something together. Nina Robertson had her phone angled toward the room's center, obviously recording. She maintained that wellness influencer presence on Instagram, constantly sharing motivational quotes overlaid on beach sunset photographs. Morgan Davies had known Vanessa longest, their friendship extending back to college 19 years. Finally, Amanda Foster and Claire Mitchell, whom I'd only encountered in photographs occasionally, represented newer additions to the circle. "Hey," I finally managed, placing my keys on the entry table beside an abandoned wine glass. "Wasn't aware we were having company tonight." Vanessa stood, smoothing her outfit despite it already sitting flawlessly. She straightened her posture, shoulders pulled back, chin elevated, adopting the stance of someone preparing to deliver a conference keynote address. "Surprise," she announced, though the word emerged sharp rather than celebratory. "We're hosting a gathering for your birthday." Her emphasis on your birthday made it abundantly clear this gathering wasn't genuinely about me. This was performance art, and I merely served as the prop. So, Ethan, she continued, projecting her voice deliberately so everyone could hear with perfect clarity, we need to discuss some significant changes. I've been reflecting extensively on our relationship recently, about accountability, about personal growth, about what authentic partnership actually means. She retrieved a piece of cardstock from the table. Not standard printer paper, actual heavyweight cardstock. She'd made a special trip to an office supply store, purchased cardstock, printed this document, formatted it professionally, made it official. I'm establishing ground rules, she declared. Fundamental ground rules for how we proceed in this marriage going forward. The women surrounding the table collectively leaned closer. Alexis folded her hands before her like a therapist preparing to document a session. Bethany nodded agreement, for Vanessa had articulated anything substantive. Jennifer displayed an eager expression like she was watching her favorite reality television program. Vanessa cleared her throat deliberately and began reading from her prepared card. Rule number 1. Going forward, you must check in with me before making any social plans with your friends. I require knowledge of your location, who you're spending time with, and your expected return time. This concerns transparency and establishing trust. She paused strategically to allow that statement to resonate. Rule number 2. You must demonstrate more emotional presence. That means conducting daily check-ins regarding my feelings and my needs, not merely superficial conversations. Genuine emotional closeness is required. Another calculated pause. I observed Nina adjusting her phone positioning to ensure she captured everything on video. Rule number 3. We must redistribute household responsibilities more equitably. I shouldn't need to request that you complete tasks. You should intuitively recognize what requires attention and handle it independently. Jennifer nodded with enthusiasm. Boundaries are absolutely critical, she announced to the table. Emotional boundaries, physical boundaries, financial boundaries, all of them. Vanessa smiled toward her, clearly encouraged by the vocal support. Rule number 4. Financial decisions must become joint decisions moving forward. No more unilateral authority over our finances. We must make choices collaboratively as equals. I nearly laughed at that particular rule. Actually had to bite my cheeks interior to prevent a visible reaction. And rule number 5, Vanessa concluded, making direct eye contact with me. You must respect my friendships and cease making me feel guilty regarding my social time. These women constitute my support network, my community, and I require you to honor that importance. She placed the card on the table with a definitive tap, mimicking a judge's gavel strike. That's when Alexis initiated applause. Slow initially, deliberate, then accelerating. Within seconds, the entire table had joined in. 9 women applauding as though Vanessa had delivered a revolutionary TED Talk about empowerment and boundary setting and reclaiming personal power. My ex-husband needed exactly this conversation, Bethany commented, before our divorce. Men simply don't comprehend unless you're absolutely direct, someone else contributed. I examined each face surrounding that table, the smug expressions, the absolute conviction that they possessed moral superiority, and I was fundamentally wrong. Vanessa was practically glowing, absorbing their validation like sustenance. So, she said, crossing her arms, what's your response? Are you prepared to become the partner I deserve? I walked toward the kitchen, retrieved a beer from the refrigerator. Boulevard Wheat. Took a substantial drink, then set it on the counter and smiled. I think, I said slowly, that I need to retrieve something from my office. Give me 5 minutes. The room's atmosphere shifted, becoming quieter. Vanessa's smile wavered. What? That's your entire response? 5 minutes, I repeated. Then I'll deliver my own announcement. I proceeded down the hallway. Behind me, I detected confused murmuring. Someone questioned Vanessa about what I was referencing. She admitted she didn't know, but her voice had lost that performed confidence. In my office, I opened my file cabinet's bottom drawer. The manila folder sat exactly where I'd positioned it 7 days earlier, after completing my organization. Bank statements, credit card bills, text message screenshots, receipts, everything highlighted, tabbed, arranged chronologically. I'd been assembling this documentation for 4 months, since initially noticing charges that seemed inconsistent and meetings and narratives that kept shifting. I hadn't intended to execute this tonight, on my birthday, but Vanessa had made her decision. She wanted to humiliate me before her friends, transform my birthday into some performance about establishing dominance. Fine, I could work within those parameters. I grabbed the folder and returned to the living room. Every eye turned toward me as I settled on the couch, folder resting in my lap. All right, I said, looking directly at Vanessa. Let's discuss rules and accountability. I believe everyone present deserves access to the truth. Vanessa's complexion went pale. What are you doing? I opened the folder. Simply making my announcement as promised. The room had become completely silent now. No more smirking expressions, just palpable tension. I extracted the first document, a December bank statement, highlighted in yellow at relevant sections. Vanessa mentioned, I need to contribute more financially. Let's examine that claim. I held up the statement. December, my after-tax paycheck, $2,450. Her paycheck, $690. Stop this immediately, Vanessa said, standing abruptly. This is private information. You made it public when you announced your ground rules before your friends. I extracted January's statement. January, my check, $2,450. Your check, $690. Then February's. February, identical amounts. 3 consecutive months. I earn approximately 3.5 times your income. I displayed the expense documentation systematically, piece by piece. Mortgage on this condo totals $1,200 monthly. I pay it. My name exclusively on the deed. Purchased this property in 2017 using inheritance money. My grandfather left me. HOA fees, $235 monthly, paid by me. Utilities averaging $170, paid by me. Automobile insurance for both vehicles, $185, paid by me. Internet and all streaming services, $130, paid by me. Groceries, approximately $600 monthly, paid by me. Bethany was fixated on her wine glass now. Jennifer had stopped smiling entirely. I work extremely hard for my income, Vanessa attempted. You do, I agreed. 14 hours weekly teaching yoga classes. You could work additional hours, but you choose not to. I've never prevented you from increasing your workload. I extracted the credit card statements. Let's examine spending patterns. December, Lululemon $345, Athleta $230, spa treatments at the Four Seasons $395, Sephora $172, all charged to the card I pay off monthly. Rachel was leaning forward now, actually reading the documents from her position across the table. January, Lululemon $285, SoulCycle classes $370, additional spa treatments $260. February, Athleta $420, skincare products $298, brunch expenditures totaling $460. I looked up at the assembled group. Average monthly balance I pay off, $2,100. So when she claims I need to contribute more financially, what she's actually communicating is, I need to stop questioning why she's spending triple her income every single month. Morgan had her hand covering her mouth. Amanda was looking between Vanessa and me like she was attempting to solve a puzzle. This is absolutely humiliating, Vanessa said, her voice trembling. On your birthday, we're only beginning. I retrieved my phone and opened the screenshots folder. Approximately 6 months ago, I noticed you were departing frequently. Wednesday afternoons, Saturday mornings when I work overtime shifts. You claimed it was networking, cultivating professional connections for expanding your yoga business. Vanessa's face drained of all color. Networking is genuinely important, Alexis offered weakly. It absolutely is, I nodded. Except these weren't networking meetings. I displayed my phone. Text message exchanges between Vanessa and Derek Zimmerman, former personal training client. They've been meeting regularly for 6 months. You violated my privacy by going through my phone? Vanessa shouted. Your phone was resting on the kitchen counter. A text message notification appeared on the screen while you were showering. I didn't need to go through anything. I showed the first screenshot to everyone. October 23rd, Derek to Vanessa. Great catching up today. Same time next week. Vanessa's response, yes, Wednesday afternoons work perfectly. Ethan works late on those days. I laid out receipts across the coffee table one by one. Panera Bread on Del Mar Boulevard. 17 visits between October and March. Average expenditure, $29 per visit. Starbucks in Clayton, 11 visits, averaging $19. That fountain restaurant on Locust for weekend brunches. 5 visits on Saturday mornings when I was working overtime. $69, $75, $84, $93, $102. I looked directly at Vanessa. All charged to the credit card that I pay off monthly. I was literally financing your dates. They weren't romantic dates, Vanessa insisted, but her voice fractured. Derek is a business contact. We discuss opportunities within the wellness industry. Let's examine what you told him about me then. I pulled up additional screenshots. December 7th, Vanessa to Derek. Ethan just doesn't comprehend what I'm attempting to build. He views everything through this restrictive lens of dollars and cents. I scrolled downward. December 21st, talking to you makes me feel understood in ways I haven't experienced in years. January 10th, he's perpetually so logical and practical. Sometimes I just need someone who understands passion and creativity. February 14th, Valentine's Day. We had dinner together that evening, remember? You said it was lovely. Here's what you texted Derek the following day. Dinner with Ethan was acceptable, but I kept thinking about our conversation yesterday. The silence pervading the room was suffocating. February 29th, I continued. Derek to Vanessa. My divorce was finalized yesterday. I'm finally free. Just wanted you to know. Vanessa's response, I'm so happy for you. You deserve better. Then she added, so do you, accompanied by a heart emoji. Rachel stood abruptly, grabbing her purse. I'm sorry, I thought we were helping you establish healthy boundaries. We didn't know any of this. Vanessa reached toward her. Rachel, please wait. No, you lied to all of us. Rachel walked to the door and exited without looking back. I extracted Facebook screenshots, group chat message histories. For the past year, Vanessa's been narrating stories to you, her version of our marriage. To you, I'm the antagonist, the controlling husband who doesn't appreciate her, doesn't support her aspirations, won't permit her independence. I looked around the table, but none of you knew I pay 82% of our bills. None of you knew she works part-time by deliberate choice, that I've never once told her she couldn't pursue her yoga teaching career. None of you knew she's been meeting Derek on my dime while informing me she's networking for her business. Bethany spoke quietly. She told us you were financially controlling, that you interrogated every single purchase she made. I questioned once why we were spending $290 monthly at Starbucks when we own a perfectly functional coffee maker at home. That became me being controlling. I suggested we split grocery costs more proportionally since I was covering virtually everything else. That became me being cheap and unsupportive. Jennifer stood. I need to leave. This is not what I believed this was. You were exceptionally enthusiastic about her ground rules 10 minutes ago, I said. She hesitated, caught between the door and the table, then departed without another word. Last July, I continued, Vanessa told you I refused to attend couples counseling, correct? Bethany nodded slowly, reluctantly. I displayed a text exchange on my phone. July 18th, meet Vanessa. I located a therapist, Dr. Richardson, on Clayton Road. Excellent reviews, specializes in couples work. Want to try it? Her response, I don't think we need that yet. August 5th, me again. Still interested in counseling if you want to work on our communication patterns. Her response, maybe later, I'm overwhelmed with the new class schedule at the studio. Bethany grabbed her jacket. I'm leaving. I apologize for participating in this. Jennifer followed her out. Then Nina, who had been recording earlier, had already put her phone away. Then Amanda, who mumbled, I'm sorry for being part of this situation. Morgan was crying now. She'd known Vanessa longest, 19 years extending back to their college years. Vanessa, Morgan said quietly, voice breaking, did you lie about all of this? Vanessa couldn't formulate an answer. She simply stood there with tears streaming down her face. I've been defending you to my husband for months, Morgan said. He kept insisting something didn't add up about your stories. I told him he didn't understand, that he was being judgmental. I defended you repeatedly. She looked at me. I'm so sorry. She left too. Only Alexis remained, still attempting to maintain some semblance of authority over the situation. Ethan, I think you're being unnecessarily cruel, she said. I'm being factual. You could have conducted this conversation privately, like she conducted her ground rules conversation privately. She selected the audience. I simply provided the facts. Alexis stood. You should have been honest with us, Vanessa. Then she departed as well. 9 women gone within 25 minutes. Vanessa collapsed, fell back into her chair, surrounded by wine glasses and charcuterie boards and the printed ground rules that nobody cared about anymore. You destroyed my entire support system, she said. I have one final announcement. I extracted the last document, a consultation summary from my attorney. I met with James Henderson last Friday. Divorce papers will be filed Monday morning. You'll be served Tuesday. What? This condo is mine, purchased with inheritance money before we married. My name on the deed, my name on the mortgage. You'll need to locate alternative housing within 30 days. Her face crumpled. We can fix this. Counseling, therapy, whatever you want. I'll do anything. I don't want to fix it. I closed the folder and stood. I've been sleeping in the guest room for a week. Moved my clothes there last Tuesday. You didn't even notice, did you? I collected my folder and walked toward the hallway. I'll remain in the guest room. You can stay in the master for now. We'll resolve details through attorneys. I closed the door behind me, sat on the bed's edge, and felt nothing except profound relief. Through the door, I could hear her crying, making phone calls, her voice rising and falling in waves. I opened my laptop and began researching one-bedroom apartments in the area. Backup plan in case complications arose with the condo. I fell asleep around midnight. Best sleep I'd experienced in months. The following morning, I woke to 29 missed calls and 51 text messages from Vanessa, all sent between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. I scrolled through the notifications without opening them. Didn't read a single one. I already knew what they'd communicate: apologies mixed with accusations, promises to change mixed with threats about what her attorney would do. The cycle I'd witnessed play out repeatedly over our relationship, just never quite this extreme. I prepared for work quietly. Showered, dressed, made coffee in the kitchen, while Vanessa's bedroom door remained closed. I could hear her breathing on the other side, awake but not emerging. Probably waiting for me to knock, to initiate, to be the one who attempted to fix things like I always had. I left at 7:30 without saying a word. Work was normal, routine. I completed my checklist of electrical panels, ran diagnostics on the backup generator system, filed my maintenance reports. One of my coworkers, Dennis, noticed something different about me around lunchtime. You okay, man? He asked while we sat in the break room. You seem lighter or something. Yeah, I said and meant it. Actually, yeah, I'm good. He looked at me for a moment like he was trying to determine if I was being sarcastic, then nodded and returned to his sandwich. Around noon, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I stepped outside into the parking lot to answer it. Ethan? Not a question, a statement. Eleanor Chen, Vanessa's mother. What is this nonsense Vanessa is telling me? If she told you we're getting divorced, Mrs. Chen, it's not nonsense. She said you humiliated her in front of all her friends on your birthday. She announced ground rules for our marriage at my birthday party in front of those same friends. I simply provided some context about our actual financial situation and some other relevant information. You need to work this out. Marriage requires hard work. You can't just quit when things get difficult. Marriage requires mutual respect, I said calmly. We don't have that. We haven't had it for a long time. Maybe we never did. She's my daughter, and she's been lying to you about me, just like she lied to her friends. If you want the truth, Mrs. Chen, ask to see our bank statements. Ask to see the credit card bills I've been paying. Ask her about Derek Zimmerman. Silence on the other end. Then, who? Ask her, I said. I'm sure she'll have a version of that story too. She disconnected. At 2:15, my phone rang again. This time, someone from the property management company. Hello, Mr. Davis. This is Marissa from Riverside Properties. I'm calling because your wife contacted us this morning about breaking the lease on your unit early. She wanted to know about penalties and timelines. I closed my eyes. Of course she did. The condo isn't leased, Marissa. I own it. Purchased it in 2017. It's not a rental property. Oh. A pause. She indicated it was a rental and that she was listed on the lease agreement. She's not. My name only on the deed, on the mortgage, on every piece of paperwork associated with that property. She has no authority to make any decisions about it. I see. Thank you for clarifying. We'll make a note in our system. I disconnected and stood there in the parking lot for a moment. Vanessa was already attempting to pull the rug out from under me, trying to force my hand, trying to make me the villain who was evicting her onto the street. Except she had no leverage. The condo was mine. The money was mine. The evidence was documented and organized and sitting in a file folder that my attorney now possessed copies of. At 4:30, James Henderson called, my divorce attorney. Davis, just confirming our timeline. You want papers filed Monday morning? Yes. And the confrontation last night went as expected. She presented her ground rules. I presented my evidence. Her friends all left. Last I saw, she was packing to stay at her mother's house. Good. That establishes a clear timeline and separation. She can't claim she was blindsided or that you didn't give her warning. Papers will be filed at 9 a.m. Monday. Process server will deliver them to her mother's address Tuesday afternoon. What should I expect? She'll hire an attorney. They'll likely try to claim spousal support and potentially argue for a portion of the condo value. But based on the documentation you've provided, we have a very strong position. The condo was purchased before the marriage with inheritance money from your grandfather. She has no legal claim to it. And given that she's chosen to work part-time while you've been covering the vast majority of expenses, any judge will see through a spousal support request pretty quickly. How long will this take? If she contests everything, maybe 3 to 4 months to a final settlement. If she accepts reality and negotiates reasonably, we could have this wrapped up in 6 weeks. Thank you. I disconnected and finished my shift. Drove home around 6:30. The parking garage was quieter than usual. Vanessa's car wasn't in her designated spot. Good. When I opened the condo door, I could see she'd returned at some point during the day. Half the wine glasses from the party had been cleaned and stored away. The other half still sat on the dining table, lipstick marks on the rims. The charcuterie boards had been wrapped and placed in the refrigerator. But the apartment felt hollow, empty in a way that had nothing to do with furniture. I walked down the hallway to the master bedroom. The door was open, clothes pulled from the closet, hangers scattered on the floor. Her dresser drawers hung open, half empty. Her suitcases were gone. So was her toiletry bag from the bathroom. She'd packed quickly, grabbed what she needed for several days, and left. On the kitchen counter, there was a note written on an envelope's back in her handwriting. Staying at my mom's. We'll talk when you're ready to be reasonable. This doesn't have to be this way. I read it twice, then crumpled it and dropped it in the trash. I ordered pizza from that Italian place on Del Mar. Large, half pepperoni, half mushroom. Ate 3 slices standing in the kitchen while watching the Cardinals game on my phone. Then I spent an hour cleaning the remaining party debris, threw away the crumpled ground rules I found on the counter, washed all the wine glasses, wiped down the dining table, put the leftover cheese in containers even though I probably wouldn't eat it. By 9, the condo looked normal again, like the party had never occurred. I moved my belongings back into the master bedroom. My clothes back in the closet, my phone charger back on the nightstand, my pillow back on the left side of the bed where I'd always slept. That night I got the best sleep I'd had in years. Saturday morning, my phone buzzed at 8:30, text message from a number I didn't recognize. Ethan, this is Rachel Park from Thursday night. I know this is probably strange, but would you be willing to meet for coffee? I owe you an apology, a real one. I stared at the message for a full minute. Part of me wanted to ignore it, sever ties with everyone connected to Vanessa, start completely fresh. But another part was curious. Why was Rachel reaching out? What did she want to say? I texted back, sure, where? Caldy's on Skinker, 9:30. I'll be there. I dressed, drove to Caldy's, arrived at 9:25. I spotted Rachel already sitting in a corner booth near the windows, coffee in front of her. I ordered an Ethiopian roast, black paid, then walked over and sat across from her. Thank you for coming, she said immediately. Her eyes were red like she'd been crying or hadn't slept well. I wasn't sure you would after Thursday night. I wouldn't have blamed you for blocking all of us and never thinking about any of this again. I'm here, I said simply. She wrapped both hands around her coffee mug, stared down at it for a moment, then looked up at me. I need to apologize. I need to say this clearly. What happened Thursday night was horrifying, but not because of your response. Because of our participation, because we enabled Vanessa, because we believed her version of events without ever questioning whether there might be another side to the story. You didn't know, I said. That's not an excuse. She pulled out her phone. Last night after I got home, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about everything you showed us. The bank statements, the receipts, the text messages with Derek. So I went through our group chat, all of it, from October of last year until now. She turned her phone toward me and started scrolling. Every story Vanessa told us about you, every complaint, every example of you being controlling or unsupportive or emotionally unavailable, I read through all of it with fresh eyes. The messages filled the screen. Dozens of them. Hundreds, probably. The door opened, and Bethany walked in, saw us, hesitated for a second, then came over. "I'm so sorry," she said, sliding into the booth. "My ex-husband was genuinely controlling. Financial misuse, isolation from friends and family, monitoring my location constantly. When Vanessa talked about you questioning expenses and working long hours, it sounded exactly like my ex. I was primed to see patterns that weren't actually there." Morgan arrived next, eyes red and puffy. "I've known Vanessa 19 years. Since sophomore year of college, I thought I knew her." She sat down heavily. "She called me last night at midnight. Said you blindsided her, that you twisted everything to make her look bad. I asked her directly if she lied about the financial stuff. She said, it's more complicated than that. Which means yes. We talked for over an hour. I don't think I've ever been so angry and disappointed in someone I considered a best friend." They showed me more texts, more stories Vanessa had told that didn't match reality. How she'd claimed I refused to let her take business development courses to grow her yoga business. How she'd said I told her that her teaching didn't count as real work. None of it true. I'd encouraged her to expand her business. I'd never once said anything negative about her career choice. My phone rang. Unknown number. I stepped outside to take it. "Is this Ethan Davis?" "Who's this?" "Derek Zimmerman. Look, Vanessa called me last night, absolutely hysterical. I didn't know you weren't aware of our meetings. She told me you two had an understanding that the marriage was basically over, that you were just waiting for the right time to separate, officially. We weren't separated. We weren't even arguing regularly. I had no idea you two were meeting until I went through our credit card statements 4 months ago." Long silence. "Oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm cutting contact completely. This is way too messy. I've got 2 kids from my first marriage. I can't get involved in this kind of drama." "Good call." I disconnected and went back inside. Told them about Derek's call. "So she told him you two were basically done?" Rachel asked. "While living in your condo, using your money, and presenting ground rules for your marriage in front of us?" "Apparently." We wrapped up the conversation around 11. All 3 of them offered to be character witnesses if my attorney needed them during the divorce proceedings. I thanked them sincerely and left. The legal process moved rapidly. Papers filed Monday morning at 9. Vanessa served Tuesday afternoon at her mother's house. Wednesday morning, her attorney called mine. She was requesting $1,700 monthly spousal support for 2 years and claiming she was entitled to half the condo's value based on marital asset appreciation. My attorney had all the documentation ready. Condo purchased in 2017 before marriage with inheritance money from my grandfather. Vanessa's voluntary part-time employment status. Text messages showing I'd actively supported her career choices and never pressured her to work more hours. Complete receipt trail of the Derek meetings. Group chat screenshots showing the stories she'd told her friends. Her attorney reviewed everything and came back Thursday with a revised proposal, $9,000 one-time buyout, and she'd walk away completely. We countered with 0. No spousal support, no property claim, clean break. Went back and forth for 2 weeks. Finally settled on $1,600 as a one-time payment, just to close it rapidly and avoid a lengthy court process. I paid it on April 12th. Moving day was April 17th. I spent it at the City Museum and then took a brewery tour with Dennis from work. Came home around 6 to find the condo half empty, her couch gone, her dining table gone, her bedroom furniture all removed. The place echoed when I walked through it. I ordered tacos from Mission Taco Joint, sat on the floor eating them, looking around at all the empty space. Mine now. Really mine. Over the next months, I rebuilt everything. Bought a couch I actually liked. Deep charcoal leather instead of that cream-colored thing Vanessa had insisted matched her aesthetic. Reconnected with an old friend from high school, started meeting for beers every other week to watch games. Joined a basketball league at the community center, something I'd wanted to do for years. Bought a guitar I'd been eyeing since college. Started taking lessons on Thursday evenings. Repainted the master bedroom a dark navy blue that I'd always wanted, but Vanessa said was too masculine for the space. This past week was my 42nd birthday. I had 4 friends over Tuesday night. Pizza from that place on Delmar, beer from Urban Chestnut, Cardinals game on the television. No speeches, no announcements, no ground rules, no performances. Just normal conversation with people who actually knew me and liked me for who I was. One of them, my buddy Marcus, asked how long I'd lived in the condo. 6 years. Bought it in 2017 with money my grandfather left me. Nice place. Really good location. Yeah, it really is. My phone buzzed during the 7th inning. Unknown number. Could have been Vanessa, could have been spam. Didn't matter anymore. I blocked it without checking and went back to the conversation about the Cardinals' pitching rotation. Later, after everyone left around 11, I cleaned up. Washed the dishes, sorted the recycling, wiped down the counters, put everything away. Looked around the condo at my furniture, my paint color choices, my space organized exactly the way I wanted it. Thought about last year's birthday. 9 women sitting in judgment, ground rules printed on expensive cardstock, public humiliation intended as some kind of empowerment moment. Then thought about tonight. 4 genuine friends, pizza and beer and baseball. No performance required. No audience to impress. 42 years old, divorced, starting completely over from scratch, and genuinely content. Not explosively happy in some movie montage kind of way, just quietly content. At peace with my decisions, which was honestly more than I'd had in years, maybe ever in my adult life. I turned off the lights and headed to bed. My bedroom with my choice of paint color and my choice of furniture arrangement and my choice of everything. Happy birthday to me. This time it actually felt completely true.